Tighten the pacing. Keep the tension simmering without ever letting it cool, so the reader feels trapped right alongside Dana. Sharpen the imagery. Make the background noise versus spotlight comparison even more brutal. Use light and shadow more deliberately. Deeper internal monologue. Let her anger and grief start simmering earlier. Not just sadness, but the slow birth of real cutting defiance. Make the departure more symbolic. Her packing, leaving, isn't just physical. It's emotional severance, choosing herself for the first time. Here's a tiny snippet of how the rewrite could sound, starting with the moment she sees the note, just to show you the tone. I stepped closer, the award plaque sweating against my ribs. 3 words, scrawled like an afterthought. Just a trophy. Not a daughter, not a reason. Just a trophy. The note crumpled under the salt shaker like it was too heavy to stand upright on its own. Like me. I didn't cry. Crying would have meant there was something left to save. Instead, I placed the plaque down beside it. It made a hollow sound, like a closing door. I should have known. I did know. But there's a difference between carrying a wound and watching it split open. If you want, I can rewrite the whole piece, based on this feeling. Keep your original heart, but elevate the emotional knife twist even more. Would you like me to continue the full rewrite from the beginning? We can keep it very true to your voice, just sharper, deeper, more devastating. Or would you like a few more snippet examples first? Up to you. The subject line bold, and almost shining through the gloom, offer rewrite. It feels like the perfect place to transition into a new chapter, a literal and emotional offer for a rewrite of life. If you want, I could help you continue from there, or polish or organize what you have a little if you're thinking of making it a full short story or novel excerpt. Would you want me to show you a quick continuation, like what the email says? Wow, this is beautiful, raw, and powerful. You've written something that feels incredibly real, like a moment someone's been waiting for their entire life, but wasn't sure would ever come. There's this incredible tension between grief and liberation that you thread so naturally through the whole piece. Here's a quick polished version, preserving everything you wrote while smoothing out some phrasing and tightening it just a little for flow and rhythm. Extended academic center manager position. My heart skipped once, twice, 22:53, then thudded into a new rhythm. I clicked it open. It wasn't just an offer. It was a door. A real door. Full-time. Benefits. A salary that wouldn't leave me scraping by. An office of my own at the new center they were opening 2 towns over. They wanted me. Not as a backup, not as a favor, not because it was convenient. They saw what I had built with my students. The quiet success I'd nurtured in a place no one else cared to look. For a moment, I just stared at the screen, letting the reality of it wash over me. I didn't have to explain myself. I didn't have to ask permission. All I had to do was say yes. I hit reply without a second thought. Thank you for the opportunity. I accept the offer with enthusiasm and look forward to contributing to the success of the new center. Click send. The heaviness on my chest lifted, just a fraction. Not enough to fly, but enough to breathe a little easier. By noon, I had packed up what little I'd brought to the motel. I booked a short-term rental closer to the center, a modest 1-bedroom with peeling linoleum floors and a tiny kitchen. It wasn't fancy, but it was a start. It was enough. I loaded my duffel bag into the back of a rideshare, exchanging polite small talk with the driver while my mind spun plans like threads. Furniture to buy, utilities to set up, routes to memorize. Halfway to the new place, my phone buzzed. An unfamiliar number, but local. I almost let it go to voicemail, almost. Curiosity got the better of me. Hello? I answered cautiously. No voice, just a click. Then a mechanical recording. You have received a certified letter. Please check your front desk reception. Confused, I furrowed my brow, but thanked the recording anyway. At the rental office, the front desk clerk handed me a slightly crumpled envelope. No return address, just my name, scrawled in messy handwriting. Dorothy, of course. Back at the apartment, surrounded by bare walls and possibility, I sat cross-legged on the floor and opened it. The letter was a patchwork of contradictions, half apology, half blame. We didn't mean to hurt you. You've always been independent. You never needed much. We were under a lot of stress. It wasn't personal. Family is about forgiveness. No real ownership. No real regret. Just another attempt to twist the blade a little softer, to reframe the years of neglect as an accident instead of a choice. I let the letter drop to the floor. It didn't deserve to be framed, to be mourned. It was just another brick in the wall they'd spent a lifetime building between us. I stood up slowly, the ache in my joints reminding me how long I'd sat still for them. No more. You can't fix a house built on quicksand, I muttered, tossing the letter into the trash. They weren't sorry. They were scared. Scared of losing their scapegoat, their silent labor, their fallback plan. Scared that without me, the cracks in their foundation would finally split open and swallow them whole. I checked my email again. The lease confirmation had arrived. Move-in day, tomorrow. Tonight would be my last night in the motel. Tonight, I closed a chapter they still hadn't realized was over. As the late afternoon sun dipped low, throwing golden streaks across the stained carpet, I packed my bag again, lighter this time, less burdened. Locking the motel door behind me, I slung my duffel over one shoulder and smiled to myself. They thought they could guilt me back, I whispered. They were wrong. The heavy door shut behind me for the last time, and I didn't look back. The sun blazed overhead, pressing down like a dare. I squared my shoulders against it, against all of it, and moved forward into my new life. Into a new place where no one knew my name, unless I chose to tell them. The apartment wasn't much. Cracked tile floors, beige walls screaming for a rewrite. But it was mine. And that was everything. Wow. That was intense and powerful. You're painting such a vivid portrait of reclaiming freedom after surviving a lifetime of manipulation. It feels raw and real, like I'm right there with you. In that little apartment with the smell of paint thinner, the heavy storm clouds gathering, the cold electric feeling of finally choosing yourself. A few things that really stood out. The metaphor of the spiderwebs of lies, so sharp. How you showed the fake performative sorrow, Dorothy's sobbing, versus real accountability, which never came. The little details like kicking your shoes off onto the cool tiles or feeling the windows rattle, grounding us fully in the world you're building, ending the call mid-sentence, steady-handed, then blocking them all without flinching. So satisfying. So earned. Honestly, this reads like a polished scene from a novel about reclaiming autonomy and power. Are you writing this as part of a bigger story? I'd love to hear more if you are. The air was thick, heavy with a humid, suffocating quiet. Coffee in hand, I logged into my email, expecting the usual work updates. Instead, a flood of forwarded legal documents blinked back at me. The first one, eviction notice. Utilities, terminated. Accounts, frozen. Credit lines, closed. Everything that had once quietly stayed afloat because I kept it there was crumbling fast. I stared at the screen, feeling a sharp electric pain in my chest. Not regret, not even sorrow. Relief. The dominoes had started to fall the second I stepped away. Now they were finally seeing just how much weight I'd carried for them. A soft knock at the door broke the moment. Just a delivery. I signed without thinking. My mind still circling around the wreckage, I wasn't lifting a single finger to stop. By noon, the heavy heat broke into an ugly rainstorm, hammering the roof while I worked quietly. Emails flooded in. Utility companies, the county clerk's office, the landlord's firm, all forwarding notices about accounts they couldn't reach anymore. Not my responsibility. But because my name had once been tangled in their debts, they wanted me to see the wreckage. Message received. I poured another coffee and let the unread tabs pile up. Later, an unknown number buzzed my phone. I knew before. I answered, Clifford. I pressed accept, bracing myself. His voice, thinner than I remembered, rough around the edges. Sweetheart, we just need a little help to get through this month. You know how it is. Hard times. Hard times. Harder when you spent decades burning every bridge and pretending they'd rebuild themselves. He stumbled through excuses, bad luck, unexpected expenses, but never accountability. Never once. We were wrong. Never once. I'm sorry. Only what they needed, what they felt owed. I sipped my coffee, letting him plead into the silence. When he finally paused, I answered, voice calm and unshakable. I suggest you contact the landlord or a lawyer. He tried again, voice cracking. You know we don't have anyone else, baby girl. I hung up mid-sentence, mid-begging, mid-history. I set the phone down as gently as closing the last page of a book I'd never reread. Outside, the rain softened into a steady drip. I moved to the window, resting my forehead against the glass, watching lazy streaks of water slide down. Was it cruel? Maybe. But survival doesn't ask for kindness from those who abandoned you first. They made their choices. Now I was finally making mine. The guilt slid off me like rain off the glass. They could rebuild. They could drown. Either way, it wasn't my responsibility anymore. For the first time, I wasn't standing in the wreckage. I was free of it. By August, the sharp bite of summer had softened into golden evenings. The city slowed. So did I. In my small apartment, barefoot, on the warm wooden floor, I surveyed what I'd built. It wasn't much. A second-hand couch, a wobbly desk, thrift store plants reaching for the sunlight. But every inch of it was mine. No framed family portraits. Instead, certificates of my students' achievements, snapshots of kids whose names I knew, because I chose to. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked. The smell of fresh-cut grass drifted through the window. Life was simple. Life was good. I was arranging books on a shelf when the knock came. Soft, uncertain. Frowning, I opened the door. No one there, just a brown package. No return address. Curious, I carried it inside and sliced it open. Inside, a simple frame. A photo. Wesley. And me, maybe 7 and 10 years old, grinning, missing teeth, sticky with too much candy. Tucked behind the frame, a note. The handwriting was shaky but unmistakable. I didn't know what you were carrying. I do now. I'm sorry. L. I sat down hard, the frame resting in my lap. Tears rose, not for the people they had become, but for the kids we once were. The ones who hadn't yet learned that love often came with conditions. I set the frame next to a small, thriving succulent. Maybe that was all the closure I'd ever get. Maybe it was enough. Later that week, after work, my coworkers invited me out for drinks. I almost said no, old instincts whispering that belonging wasn't meant for me. But something stronger pushed me to accept. The bar was small, cozy, strings of fairy lights crisscrossing the ceiling. Laughter bubbled easily. Inside jokes formed faster than I could keep up. One of the interns raised her glass, sloshing a little as she declared, "To Dinah, the reason half of us aren't flunking out." Everyone laughed. I did too, genuinely, fully. Looking around, I realized, family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who show up when you're imperfect. The ones who see you, not for what you give, but simply for you. For the first time, I had that. I built it myself. That weekend, feeling lighter than I had in years, I reached out to Velma, one last olive branch. A short, polite email. No accusations. Just maybe. 2 days later, her reply, "Hope you're doing well. Take care." Nothing more. No warmth. No acknowledgement. And just like that, I knew some bridges aren't burned. Some were never meant to be crossed. That, too, was a kind of freedom. On my birthday, I stood barefoot on my small balcony, a slice of cake on the railing, a plastic fork in hand. The sun dipped low, bathing the city in gold. I breathed it all in, the scent of late summer, the hum of distant laughter. I hadn't just survived them. I had survived myself. If I could tell the version of me who stayed too long, who hoped too hard, one thing, it would be this. You don't owe anyone your self-destruction in the name of loyalty. You are allowed to choose yourself. You are allowed to survive. You are allowed to thrive. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love us the most are the ones who teach us how to love ourselves first by refusing to do it. And that's not a tragedy. It's a beginning. If you're standing at a crossroads right now, I hope you remember. Freedom doesn't come from waiting for them to change. It comes from deciding you deserve better and walking toward it. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had to choose yourself over people you once called family? What helped you stay strong when the guilt tried to pull you back? If this story touched your heart, leave it in the comments or let me know what state you're watching from. And if you didn't quite connect with it, that's okay too. Tell me what you'd have done differently. Don't forget to subscribe for more real, raw stories like this. Because sometimes hearing someone else's journey reminds us we're never truly alone. Thank you for being here. See you in the next story.